What's happening out there? Dave Duford here at Dig Agency. We're doing it live with another live stream coming right at you. Today's conversation is talking about what are we talking about today? It's funny. You sit here and you prepare and do all this stuff, and then you're like, what? What am I even doing? Yes, now I know what it is. Life insurance. Is it actually the easiest or the hardest thing possible? So let me tell you the setup to this because I think I've had an epiphany of sort when it comes to the business and how it works. And so I'm going to set this up in a second, but I do want to invite you, if you're watching this, you're welcome to throw questions in the chat. I promise to get to them eventually. And then they can be about the topic at hand. They can also be about anything related to selling life insurance or insurance, whether you have questions about marketing, how sales works, leads, etc. Or, of course, I have to shamelessly plug Dig Agency. If you're, of course, you're interested in joining Dig Agency, you want to find out more, I'm happy to, again, endlessly, shamelessly plug myself and the company and what good work we're doing. So anyways, back to the story. So let me start this off by telling you and sharing a little story time here. So I did a little trip up to Detroit, Michigan. That's where my people are from. And actually visited a good agent of mine, a great agent of mine and his team, Mr. Marcus Kakos. So, and then Lath Maddie. So let me show you their picture here so you can see them for yourself. So I was actually up here in Birmingham, which is outside of Detroit. I love to eat, ladies and gentlemen, lots of food. I love food. We were at a place where they shoot. What? Oh, now, man, I'm hanging around too many old people. I'm forgetting. Anyways, great food. Had a great time. Marcus has been with me over here on the left since the beginning of the free lead program that we offer, and then Lath has come on recently. And they're oh, by the way, yes, Iraqi. They're Iraqi. We had Iraqi food, which was delicious, and then some Iraqi dessert on top of it. So it was wonderful and highly recommend it. But anyways, back to the story. So I got there, right? I'll give you a little background here. Marcus has done 600,000 business in final expense last year in 2024 or 25. And then just last month in January, if he's watching, he can confirm, he was just shy of $70,000 as a broker. So he transitioned to a broker from being a free lead agent quite a while ago. And it was incredible. And I walked in and saw his setup. We went there to film some kind of like day in the life footage, so agents at the Dig Agency can kind of see, well, what is this top guy doing? What's he doing that's special? And what's intriguing for me is I actually get to see kind of their setup and think about it and kind of put the dots together. And I think one of the coolest things that I got to see was actually the business in action. One thing that Marcus does that's different is that he has an office environment as opposed to working at home, and he has a couple of his people, downline agents that work with him, and there's this cool vibe. It's not some huge, super fancy office space, but it's where the dudes can get together and crush it and win together as a team. And then if they need help or assistance, they're there right at each other's side. And this is kind of a cool wake-up moment for me, just seeing how powerful of an experience that was. And so what I realized is crazy because I sat there from about 9 o'clock to 3, give or take, on that Friday, I believe. And I just watched them sell. And I had an epiphany. I always say, if you watch my content long enough, you hear me say that final expense is simple, but it's not easy. Or I imply in so many words that this is a very difficult business. But you know what? I might be changing my mind on that. And that's kind of prompted me to talk about this because watching this in action, seeing somebody actually in the flesh selling it, that's not myself, but seeing it in person, I realized this is easy work. This isn't, I'm not saying it's not hard, but it is kind of easy. And I kind of wanted to pack this or pick this apart a little bit because I think maybe I talk too much about how hard it is and how everybody fails. And I wonder sometimes, I love to be upfront and transparent. And, I just got off the phone with somebody. I showed them our stats. I'm like, here, this is what you're going to run into and all this and that. It's totally about transparency. And there are a lot of people who don't do well in this, but this is not really that hard of a business. Okay, so let me explain to you how I mean. So I'm sitting there in the office, right? And and if you've never done this, this is a really good kind of explanation to how the business works. So you go to work, right? You sit down at a desk, right? Many of you are in your home, okay? And at the Dig Agency, at least, and many others have something similar set up. You set into a dialer, okay? You might physically hit buttons on a phone, and you just wait. You're not, driving around, dodging crazy drivers. You're not like under this like huge amount of pressure, right? You're just sitting there waiting. It's almost boring. I mean, even there's some of the footage I had where some of this was going on. I'm falling asleep. All right. I'm like sleeping, right? That's, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, somebody finally picks up the phone. But then it's great. The script is on the screen. You know what to say. Okay. And if you're smart, you would have practiced in between while you're waiting on these calls to connect. And you're just talking to people. You're just talking to people. Okay. And so as Marcus was doing this, okay, he's a very good agent. He's an exceptional agent, just to be 100% clear. I think the first call he closes and he does a 1900 or 2000 AP deal, right? He closes it. It took a little bit longer because he had to pivot between a couple of different applications because one was declined and he made a pivot to another one. And I think in that hour and a half or so, he made like $2,000, like cash money on hand, right? Before like 11 or 12. And then because he's put in the work over this last several years, he had to call in on a referral to double their already huge policy size. So they add another 50 grand. That's a lot for final expense. And he makes another $2,000 or $3,000, somewhere in that range. I don't know the numbers exactly, but it's like 2 or 3. And the guy's made more money in one day than most anybody makes in a month. It's crazy. Now that's an exceptional day, but even if it was 500 the first sale and 500 the second sale, how hard was that really? All you had to do was talk to somebody. You didn't even have to like do what I used to do and show up at somebody's door, worry about the pit bull mauling your leg off, or walking into a house with cockroaches running up your legs, or sitting in a piss-soaked couch. Hopefully there's nobody around the corner looking to grab you. Like this is how it really was a couple years ago when I was selling face-to-face. Not like that, doing telesales. And like literally all you do is sit down and talk to people, right? Now, is that really hard work? Like think about like what our grandparents had to do. Think about like my grandfather, I don't know about you. My grandfather had to go fight in World War II. He had to kill people, all right? He had like memories the rest of his life, bad ones, of what he had to do to survive and serve his country, right? And then we have the audacity to complain about picking a fucking phone up and calling people. Are you serious? Come on. Does that even compare to stuff that y'all's grandparents had to do? I'm not the only one. It's a privilege. It really is a privilege to sit here and do work that in the scheme of things doesn't break our bodies, that at worst we get yelled at. So what? Hang the phone up, right? And then occasionally you make a sale, even if you sit on the phone for like 8 or 10 hours. Our average agent makes a sale, good agent, once every 5 hours. I mean, on the phone. The average sale, depending on if you're broker or not, maybe 300 if you're a free lead agent, 500-ish, 600-ish if you're a broker agent after expenses. Not a lot of work, not a lot of physical, tough, stuff that you have to do to make this happen. You just have to sit there and talk. So I kind of wonder, just watching this, seeing this happen, am I blowing this out of proportion, sitting here telling you how hard this business is and how difficult it is? Because it is kind of simple. Maybe I should use the simple words. I don't know. But it's not that everybody can do it. Let's be honest. Not everybody can do this business because there is some hard stuff. So I was like writing notes for this and I'm like, there is both sides of this, right? I've always tried to straddle the fence, like see both sides. It's not one or the other. It's both and as much as many things in life. There's a lot of gray in a lot of things in life. And I think this is no different. So let me pay service to the hard side of this business. So if you're wondering, well, okay, if it's this easy, What about it makes it hard or makes it difficult? Well, I'll mention a few things. I've mentioned a few things. First of all, you got to deal with people, right? So, selling final expense or life insurance or anything for that matter, you have to actually talk to people. And what you'll realize as you talk to your average person is a lot of them are full of crap. They're they're frustrated. You know, they're like half serious about something that actually is serious, life insurance, right? And you have to navigate around their initial concerns, reservations, buyer's remorse, blah 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 blah, to hopefully maybe connect them with something they absolutely in their heart of hearts know they should get, right? That is kind of hard in a way to deal with these people's nonsense. And if you're in sales, you're dealing with nonsense all the time. And the next thing that's kind of hard is there's this kind of paradox to it, right? I remember my dad. I don't know if he's still doing this. My dad was trading as a day trader, and in describing what day trading is like day trading is where there is large periods of absolute boredom, punctuated by intense levels of anxiety. Right. So you're waiting for the setup on the trade. You buy, whatever you're buying with the idea of holding it through a certain pattern on a chart is typically it. And it's just full of anxiety during that. Then, but the rest of the time it's very quiet. It's kind of like that. There's a paradox to that, right? And similarly speaking with sales and doing this, you're going to hear no a lot. And it's not just no, ma'am, I'm not interested. It's take me off your fucking list. I don't ever want to hear you again. And then they tell you all sorts of crazy stuff that just blows your mind. And you're sitting there, you're like, I'm a human being. Why are they talking to me like this? Why do they treat me like that? I'm just trying to help people, right? If you're normal, that's what you're thinking. And so you start to develop this perspective that you have all of this stuff that you have to hear and deal with. It's very frustrating. And if you let, as we talked about the previous week, I highly recommend watching last week's live stream. If you let the demons start talking to you like, oh, these people suck. Everybody wants to talk crap. Nobody wants to buy life insurance. They just want their 25,000 government benefit. They just want their meal cards, blah, 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 blah. If you start letting that stuff get into your head and it's affecting your psyche, then you lose the forest for the trees. Because the paradox, here's the paradox. Paradox is most of your time selling this stuff is getting the crap beat out of you. It's listening to people constantly disrespecting you. It's listening to people that lead you on. It's listening to, it's getting a sale, thinking you got a verbal sale, and then they disconnect right at the point where you get their signature, ask for their bank account, Social Security. There's a lot of pent up, consistent levels of frustration to get finally across the finish line where you actually close a sale and make the kind of money that we talked about, like Marcus did earlier. That paradox is very unusual. Why? Because I think most people are programmed to expect to get paid for their time regardless of the outcome. This is the W-2 employee system. It works, but when you get into the world of entrepreneurship or straight commission sales, there is now this disconnect for the every minute of time that you put in. Do you get like-kind exchange in income? The answer is absolutely not. You wake up unemployed every morning. If you aren't ready for this, and if you think, and this is probably what makes it a little hard, if you think this is something that is easily dealt with, you go ahead and try to deal with this, right? This is something that's hard about it. And then manage that mentality, like you need to make money, with the fact that you got to go through this paradox effect to talk to somebody and hopefully eventually talk to somebody that's going to want to buy. And I know what you're thinking out there. Well, Dave, there's these companies that they're going to send me pre-sold leads. They're already ready to buy. Oh, this this live transfer company is going to transfer me people that already told somebody else, some dude in India that barely speaks English, that they're ready to buy insurance. That's going to make it where I just talk to people who are wanting to buy. That's bullshit. It doesn't exist. It might exist as a temporary flux in the matrix where you get that. But the vast majority of the time, no matter if you're dealing with inbound leads that call you, that appeals to that like lazy sense that, I have it for sure. Everybody has it. You get that, but you're going to still deal with the same crap. You're going to still have to overcome some set of objections, some set of crap. You're still going to have to spend an inordinate amount of time dealing with people who don't want to buy what you're selling to get that sliver of time that actually people buy. And so why do you care? What's the point of all this? Well, that's kind of what makes this job a little difficult, is shifting that mindset from the W-2, I get paid for every minute of my time, to the fact that you do wake up unemployed every morning, that you shouldn't take anything for granted, that you should put the time in, and eventually hope that through your process of fishing that you'll find somebody who bites and the timing is right because you involved yourself in the process. So, and yeah, I guess that's kind of the thing that makes this hard. I guess if you're somebody who just doesn't get people, or you think you're like people are like algorithms, and if I do this, they should do that. Like that's not how people are, right? If you don't like people on some level, and even want to help them, like if you don't have those things, like this business is going to be very difficult. Um, you don't have to be a purely empathetic person, right? That's probably a detriment. Like you can care too much. You want to care, but not that much. It's kind of a good overview of life in general and the interactions that you do. But ultimately, the idea is you should want to help people and put the time and the work and understand that, yeah, there's going to be good and there's going to be bad. I'll speak to that too. I think that's probably another thing that makes this business hard. So maybe I'm kind of retracting my initial statement that this actually is easy. But then as I start to do my little lecture here, maybe I'm starting to remember there are things that are hard about it. So like one of the things I think that's very hard about this business in general is the messaging has become so different than when I started. And even when I started in 2011, 20 years prior to that, it was very different. But with social media, everybody and their mother is projecting how amazing their system is, how amazing their leads are. They're unlike anything else. And there's ample evidence, some better than others, that people are being successful. And you shouldn't do that thing. You should do this thing. Final expense sucks, do IULs, or IUL sucks, do Medicare. It is an endless stream of people, agencies, and influencers that are going to try to influence, including myself. Of course, I'm trying to project my opinions on you, to attract you to the thing that you want to do. The problem with that, and this is an inherent issue with anything in insurance sales, is there is always going to be a period of sucking, of suffering. And typically that's in the first, I would say, year of the business. You're going to go through ups and downs of this business. Even very successful agents who had easy success in the beginning will experience difficulty. I believe the first year is probably the most challenging year for any new agent selling any kind of insurance whatsoever. You have no renewal income. You have no back-end money that was unadvanced. You have to pay back the chargebacks out of future commissions, right? You're learning everything still. You're kind of dealing with the various types of people and avatars that are out there and getting accustomed to it. Like it's painful, right? But what tends to start happening is you get eventually to a situation like Marcus's, maybe not as wildly successful, but very much similar in its stability. You get to understand the business. You go through the motions. You kind of know what to expect. Nothing's that much of a surprise. You've gone through your first 6 months, 9 months, year, whatever it is, and you start to notice patterns, and things are kind of, there's an expectation out of it. It's not some big shock surprise anymore. And I think that gives you a level of stability. It allows you not to care as much, but care enough to make things happen. And I think with that relaxation effect that happens with experience, you do better because of it. And you start getting the back end money, and you start getting the renewals and the referrals, like Marcus experienced when I was there on Friday. And but there's no easy way through this. And so here's where I'm going with this. The social media stuff is going to hit you at times when you're most vulnerable. People are going to tell you things about how amazing their system is and how stupid you are because you're doing whatever, final expense, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, to some degree, yes, there's some truth sometimes that maybe a pivot to another product is better. Many times it's a pivot to a different agency because your agency is terrible. Let's face it, they don't train you. It's an MLM Kool-Aid drinking scheme. Those are really more of the problems. But part of getting better at anything in life is sticking through the stuff that's hard. Okay. So for me, I quit, and I quit a year in. I don't know if you've heard this before. I've shared this at times throughout my YouTube career. And then I realized how bad it was to have a real job and how limited I would be in my ability to earn an income. And at a young age of 27 or whatever, I didn't want to like give up and like succumb to employment. No offense to anybody. Everybody's got their own path in life. So I got back in the final expense once I realized this important lesson and just grinded it out. And you cannot just give in. Like there's going to be to some degree that it's going to be a rough ride. And I used to say all the time too, like if you haven't really seriously considered quitting, then you haven't really gone through it yet. That's just, I think, a natural byproduct that pretty much everybody is in at some point. And this is the stuff that makes it hard. Okay. So I look at this to kind of wrap this up and take those questions from the chat. You can throw them in the chat. If you have any questions about anything selling insurance, marketing, joining Dig Agency. I guess the takeaway from all of this is like, I think this business is easy. We have such a blessing to literally sit in our homes and have a legitimate six-figure income earning opportunity, to never have to leave the house, fight traffic, worry about physical harm, and sell stuff to people that want it, and have a growing market of people that we can sell it to. This is final expense I'm speaking of, but this also can apply to life insurance in general, more people every year, any kind of insurance really. This is a blessing. And in the scheme of things, like what our forefathers had to do in order to build this country or in order to fight wars and do what they had to do, isn't it a blessing to do this stuff? This isn't that hard. In the scheme of things, it's easy. We should be thankful for that. And I think because of that, I'm just speaking for myself. I have a duty to my ancestors. I look at them like they're looking down on me, and there's a sense of obligation that I have to carry the flame of the DeFords and the Logans, right? I have a duty to do the best that I can because of the groundwork that was laid up to this point by all of my ancestors that contributed to humanity, but also to the formation of this country and to where we are today. And world's full of problems, but I believe, and I think you should consider this too, that you have an obligation to do the best job you can with the circumstances you have. And one of those is not to bitch about the fact of this job. It's not that hard. It's been given to us to help people in a way and work in a way that my grandfathers could never imagine. They never imagine. And all we're doing is talking to people, right? But understand and kind of juxtapose that with the fact that there is no way to escape the head game of this, right? Go watch my prior live stream where I talk about the angels and the demons. What makes this business hard is not your clients. Maybe it's the agency. Just join Dig Agency. We'll take care of that for you. But you're what make it hard. It's this brain of yours. Shut it off. Just shut it off. Just shut it off and work. Just put the time in. Trust the process. I'm telling you. This is the biggest obstacle to your success. And how you approach things like dealing with rejection, hearing no, hearing all of this stream of stuff that happens. That's really the biggest challenge. That's what makes this hard. And I'd love to say you can do it. You can, but will you? It comes down to you. How bad do you want this? How serious are you about this? Okay? Because it doesn't matter what agency you join, mine, others, no matter what. If you don't put the time in, if you don't put the work in, and you don't make the steps to make this happen, sorry, you're missing out on a great opportunity, right? Your why has to be strong. So is it easy or is it hard? Let me know in the chat what you think. And let's get to your questions down in the chat. Okay, cool. Let me take a little sip of my strawberry hibiscus Nixie, whatever. 0 calories. Yeah, hey, Elva Lion. Yeah. How dare I complain about hard work? Like, you got to break your back, man. Like, have y'all ever seen anybody do drywall work or any kind of construction work? Like, actually, like the risks that those guys have to take. And we're complaining because a few turds are yelling at us and cursing at us and can't physically do anything because they're on the phone. Give me a break. You should think that way. Now, does it affect your emotional state? It can if you let it. You should develop a state that doesn't care what people think. but care, but not that much. Not care what they think, at least. But I think you should tell yourself this stuff. Like, this guy actually has a job, and some of you do too, like where the work actually is hard. It's physically demanding. It beats you up. It tears you apart. And you be thankful. You've discovered this opportunity to do something like this and make great money and feel good about doing it too. Like, it's got everything you want as a salesperson. You don't have to like cut corners ethically. You can help people with what they need and make a great living and feel good. Yeah. Hey there, Blair. Yes, there are good and bad in every business. I think that's a really important point to make. So I think this is something I've resisted this as a marketer, right? Like, I'm an influencer, right? And my shtick has always been, hey, let me lay it out for you. Like, I want to be real with you. I'm not going to tell you the bullshit that everybody else is. Just the good stuff. Just the good stuff, not the bad stuff. Just the good stuff. I like to say the good and the bad. Maybe a little bit more emphasis on the bad. And the reason is because I think you should be sober and aware. But the truth is, marketers, like, they don't like marketing, not just in insurance and the MLMs out there, but really in any marketing. They just want to appeal to your primal desires and urges and speak to just that. Damn the consequences, damn the things that are bad about it. They just want to sell you, all else equal. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know. I've always had, I want to sell you, but I also want you to come in with eyes wide open. I don't want to, lie to you or lie by omission. It's kind of how I look at it. I like the real approach. And the truth about any business, y'all, is there's going to be good and bad. There is no, and this is part of this shiny object syndrome that I see people hopping and skipping around, going to the next best thing, thinking that's going to solve their problems. Look, a pivot may be necessary, but many times, look in the mirror. It's you with the problem. You want to think that there's always something better out there, or by moving away from something, that's how to avoid pain. No, you're just going to step into something else that has a different set of pain points, right? And you probably aren't going to be able to deal with it, if I may be honest, especially if you've never actually grinded it out in a business and have had some staying power dealing with the bad stuff, right? So the moral of the story is you can't run from problems. You're going to have problems with anything. Final expense, IULs, Medicare. Every one of those products, amongst the others as well, is an amazing opportunity. And part of your due diligence, if you're brand new to this business, is to figure out, what business model or niche or agency can I join and competently and confidently deal with not just the good, but also the bad. Problem is, nobody tells you the bad. Nobody tells you the raw side of it. Or if they do, it's like a truncated version that isn't really fully transparent. And it's up to you to figure that stuff out, right? But don't run from an opportunity because you think, well, that's the way that I'm going to better my life. Because this thing, look at all the great things about it. If you're not looking at the bad things too, you're liable to just have a whole new set of problems you're going to have to deal with. And you're not really ever maturing really as a business professional, which is part of the process of sticking through things as it sucks. It's a good thing. Yeah, hey Dave. So yes, we have fees associated with covering the cost of the dialer and CRM if you're a free lead agent, and then same thing if you're a broker, as well as the lead management program. If you want more detailed information on that, if you go to davidduford.com, I'll throw it in the chat, and just go there, watch the video at the top, and then you will learn more that way. Do free leads come with a CRM operator? Is that extra? Yes, there's a fee. Hey Jay, how do I reduce the suck period down to 6 months? I don't know if you can. I don't know. For me, it took me probably, because I quit and I struggled prior to quitting. It probably took me to getting to year 3, like the start of year 3, where I was making 6 figures and I was feeling like I could come home every night, being a face-to-face agent at the time in like 2014. And my wife wouldn't know if I had an amazing day, made all sorts of sales, or had a terrible day. Like, I had enough confidence in myself that even if I had a bad day, like, my world wasn't over. And that's very difficult as a human being to do because I think we're all genetically predisposed to dealing with what's happening in the moment, right? We're more reactive as a species, right? I think it's evolutionary. It's how we were designed, right? But really, where mastery comes in, not just in final expense or life insurance sales, but anything in life, is being able to think ahead first by the next appointment, by the next day, the next week, month, quarter, year, and having confidence and belief that all is going to be okay as long as you hold your part of the deal, meaning putting your time in, right? Not being, flippant about it, like, oh, everything's going to be great, but you're not going to do anything about it, right? So that for me came from experience. And once I got to that point, life was a lot better. Can you, so you can't, so you're not asking if we can circumvent it. Like, how do you shorten it? I don't know if there is. I mean, because part of it is the nature that if you're doing life insurance sales, it's probably a little longer for Medicare and ACA and PNC because those are renewal based products. But the fact is, most of your income comes in from you only get 9 months up front. And you got to get through there for 9 months before the back end money starts to pay in, right? So you're already at bare minimum 9 months, probably a little longer than that as the renewals build up and start stacking multiple months in a row. It's going to take closer to a year because of that. So there, and let me explain why that's important. If you have a really bad month, but you still get 2, 3, 4 grand in renewals or back end money from months 10, 11, 12, there's something comforting about that, right? It wasn't a total loss. Well, at least it got something. I feel good, right? So you kind of even out the emotional state because you have this kind of anticipation of back end money coming. Does that make sense? So because of the nature of that, I think there's an element of that you can't avoid. Other than that, the only thing I can tell you guys, like, this is a performance art. Okay, this is a performance act. So it's just like I'm playing piano right now. Like, I'm learning how to play piano. My wife plays. My son's wonderful at it. He's losing interest in it. He's 16. He's stupid. Doesn't know what he's doing. Anyways, I'm learning piano now. And I mean, how do you get better faster? I think it comes down to you put the time in. In piano, it's practicing, right? It's just like jujitsu too. And, you have a constructive approach to remedying where the problems are. But I think undergirding all of that is time on task, right? Like, if I'm doing jujitsu and I'm trying to master the rear naked choke, right? Positionally and the variations that can happen from that. Well, what do you do to get better at it? You put yourself in that position and you constructively address the different variables, and you do what we called positional rolling. Okay, you just work back mount and you work the different variations to get the submission you want, and you repeat that over and over again. So that's how you address in light of selling insurance. I think the analogy for that is that's how you get better. Like, where are your problems at? And being very sober about where you screw up at. Is it on certain applications? Is it the close? Is it the open? Where are you stumbling at? And then addressing those with practice and repetition. So there's a structured approach to getting better. And then on a bigger level, it's just put the time in, man. Like, I know y'all don't sit here and want to hear me say the same crap over and over again, although I think there is some value in hearing it again and again. Sometimes it takes me saying it 100 times for you to listen, right? That's part of having a coach. Somebody is mentoring you. I see it myself. I watch certain things and I've heard that before, but it clicks this time. Why? I don't know. It's the state of mind I'm in, the stage of my life, etc. But so much of your problems, all sales woes, are because of a lack of prospecting. And transmuted, your sales problems are because you're not working enough. You're not putting enough time in. So I think there is absolute value in just putting yourself out there and experiencing the ebb and the flow of the business firsthand. And that is the best way to, if it's possible, to circumvent the suck period so you can drop it down to I'm not going to say it's exactly X amount of months, 6 months, whatever. But if you want to reduce that to its lowest amount, do more. If you want to increase it, if you want to make it longer, where it sucks even longer, do the inverse. Don't work as much, right? All right. Questions, if you have them, throw them in the chat. Thank you. Very good questions today. Appreciate it. Well, the fact that I'm contracted, hey, Liam, with only three final expense carriers hold me back down. I don't think so. I think it might in 10 to 20% of the cases. I think there's a really good argument as a new agent to have three carriers, one main carrier for the bulk of your business, a backup carrier either for wonky health issues or maybe a price buster that's really low in price to get you a better deal. And then the third and final carrier would be a guaranteed issue carrier that covers everything that the other two don't. I think you could do a really good job at that. Actually, going back on memory, I think at some point in, excuse me, our free lead program, we had the same thing. We've expanded it out now. But, and sometimes I think like, man, do we have too many carriers? Like we have 7 now, I think. And I wonder, are we making this too complicated? Like that's really a little too many. Really would like to pare it down a little bit, to be honest with you. But I really haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. But yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with 3. Now, if after you're established, you should be looking to add more. I would. With that said, there are some agents who do well with just 1. They do plenty. Hey, pal, I'm currently doing door to door. We have to hit 100 doors, 3 set appointments in about 10 miles daily. Oh, wow. Yeah, hey. So how does this compare to insurance? I don't know what you're selling. Let me see if you got listed here. Pow. If you happen to throw it out there, let me know. But yeah, so in insurance, in the insurance game, life insurance, that's what I know. So that's what I'll speak to. First of all, door to door is the minority of agents now. It used to be basically what everybody did, unless you're in a real call center. But COVID changed the dynamics to where everybody assumes they're going to work from home. You know, remote based selling, everybody loves the idea of working from home. And I do too. It's great. I love it. It's for somebody who worked out on the road, travel hours, put 50,000 plus miles on my car a year, selling final expense. I love it. But so most of what you're going to see now is phone based sales. Okay. Home based sales. If you're selling final expense over the phone, siding, cool. And windows, cool. Roof. I have a buddy that does roofing, does really well. And they do a lot of cold calling, right? They just knock on, they see some, decent house, try to just get on the roof, right? And get a quote, right? That's the idea. And that's all cold. But in life insurance, generally speaking, it's largely a paid lead game. So if you're selling over the phone, it's a Facebook lead. If you're selling in person, again, a small portion of the population does this now, it's direct mail. So a direct mailer goes out, you may qualify for a state regulated final expense program to pay for your final expenses. It's tax-free when you die. Sign here if you want more information. That card gets sent back, and then your job is just to roll up to that house once you get it back, do your song and dance at the door, get in the door on the spot and close them, okay? All of the best face-to-face agents do exactly what I just described with the type of lead direct mail. Very, very few in my experience have I seen that, sorry, there's a cat hair on my mic, that actually do cold calling door to door. They'll just drop mail in a county, work whatever gets there, set appointments as well. They'll book appointments over the phone to see them in person. That's very common too for face-to-face. And then door knock the rest. Some people do the T. You probably know what that is. That's where hey, I just talked to your neighbor about life insurance. We sent these cards out. Just wanted to check in to see if I could be of service to you. If you had a few minutes to explain it. Mind if I come in? Right. So, but yeah, it's a different dynamic because you're dealing with people who actually request the information. Direct mail is actually a really good lead. A good agent will probably will get in half or more of the doors. So if you get 20 direct mail leads, probably have 10 to 12 presentations, and a good agent will close half or more. So out of 20 leads, if you can close 5 or 6 sales, you're a good agent. You should be making good money too. So that's how that looks. Probably a lot less doors. I would think probably more appointments. But now you have an expense that you have to deal with that you didn't previously. I'm sure cold calling works, pal. It's just that nobody really does it because there's ways to get qualified leads. Hey, Jennifer, the biggest asset you have is your earning capacity. That depends entirely on your attitude. Sure does. Hey, Judy, I truly enjoy selling final expense. You're dealing with older folks for the most part, and I like most of them. I like old people too. I've always liked old people. That's part of the reason I got into final expenses because I just like old people. They've lived life. They have experience. They're interesting. Even the weird places you go, and this is face-to-face. I actually love face-to-face. It's great. It comes with its drawbacks, of course, cockroaches, dog poop. There's a lot of them, but there's something about it that is appealing. I don't know what it is, but I like people. I guess that's part of it. But I like helping them too, and I always had the desire to help them. They're always going to be the mean, nasty ones. Yeah, I think like even in face to face, I would say most people are ruder over the phone because they can be. But when you see them face to face, people typically are a little better acting. I think that's still true today, even 10 years after I've been, full time in the field. But you still get people threatening to kill you. I think I've been threatened to kill at least once. I had a pit bull almost maul my junk off. I'm so glad that didn't happen. It was before my twins. I still closed both of those people too, by the way. The guy who threatened to kill me, I closed him. $20 a month. Do y'all want to hear that story? I can tell this, or let me know in the chat if you want me to tell you the Alabama redneck I'll kill you story. Just say so in the chat. And then the pit bull trying to eat me. Thank God the lady was there. I was walking in the door and the pit bull came out of nowhere, ready to chew me to death. And she was like, "Get off him. What are you doing? I gotta get out of here." And then I closed her for a $25 a month deal. Oh, the good times when I almost died. So I've lost my pace here, but yeah, final expense is fun, despite the few instances there. I think it's mostly a good thing. And you're going to get nasty people, exactly like Judy said. Marnie, hey, what's the minimum hours required for one who has full-time? I would say 20 hours a week. So for me personally, the agents who don't do 20 hours a week, we try to get rid of them, to be honest with you, because the success rate's really low. Now, if they're making sales despite low hours because they're exceptionally talented, we're going to keep them, right? You know what I mean? But if you're like putting 10 hours a week, multiple weeks in a row, and you're not making sales, and I've told you don't join the agency if you can't put the time in, you don't have an excuse, it's not a good fit, right? There's agencies that'll take you part-time on those kind of hours. I just find that you're not going to make any money. Odds are very low. And you just need time on task, man. It's just, that's what it is. Thank you, Andrew. Hey, BB. Hey, David, watching from Tampa. Hey, I was down at Clearwater back in December. I took my son and his friends teenager trip. That was a lot of fun. It was cold down there, man. It's cold. It's like 60s. Wasn't it 60s? It was crazy. Terrible. We had fun otherwise. Okay. We've been doing mostly health insurance. Yeah. Life insurance is great. I love life insurance. One of the things I like about final expense specifically is that, first of all, none of this crap that's happening to Medicare and ACA is happening to final expense. Final expense is not a government good. Uncle Sugar has not targeted final expense yet. Don't tell the government people this, okay? They don't need to start messing with it. But you look at Medicare now, they've got, and this is good news for you guys that are new to the business looking at these other models. I mean, look, there's people who are successful selling Medicare, don't get me wrong. But there is a trend now, and I think this will probably continue to the next administration change, like presidential administration change, where there might be, a Democrat coming in that might change things. But right now, there's a huge effort, I think, to really cost cut Medicare and ACA. There's a ton of fraud with ACA that happened over the last couple of years with these, no talk sales process. People could go in and change the agent of record without the client's knowledge, in order to accumulate the client. Like, it's just a bunch of BS. And it's all had a really negative effect on the business. So I think Medicare and ACA is in a winter period. There's obviously people who are still going to be successful. Most of those are established agents. But like the stuff that was working 2 or 3 years ago, like with the SEP enrollments year round, like that's tightened up. Some products are losing the ability to pay commission. WellCare, I think a year and a half ago, took away its PDP commissions, like prescription drug plan commissions. So there's a whittling away at this. And what this reminds me of is back in 2011, when the Affordable Health Care Act was instituted. All of the agents who had private health care policies for years lost their commissions. The companies came back and said, hey, we're not paying commission. We're going to reduce commission. Then it did it again until it was just, there's no commission to be made on these plans anymore. And so all of these agents, this is the moral of the story, why I have some reservations about these products. All of these agents lost their renewal stream. And if you're in private healthcare at the time, the idea was, I'm going to sell, I'm going to make a $300 commission a year off of this plan, and I'm going to have 1,000 clients. I'm going to make 25,000 a month, and I'm just going to take care of those people, right? But then when that gets wiped out, you're toast, right? So, and here's the truth. It's the uncomfortable truth, the inconvenient truth. Anytime you get in bed with the government, this is what you risk, right? So that's why I like final expense. It's not residual driven. That's a concern. Obviously, I wish you get residuals on final expense if you're a broker, but you're never going to retire off them unless you build an agency. That's when the residual part of it looks really good. But in the Medicare health insurance world, the government is involved in health insurance, whether you like it or not. And that means your money is involved, whether you like it or not. And so always, caveat emptor before you look into that side of the business. All right. Hey, Lion, no worries, man. No worries. We like noob questions. Sorry for the noob question, but when we are a broker, do we follow up and get referral from leads we buy, or do the clients get recycled through the system? No, as a broker, they're your clients, and we highly recommend that you follow up with them. You should. There's tons of business in your clients. So I think over the course of my career as a face-to-face agent, like over 6, maybe 7 years, I wrote like 1,500 cases, okay? So of those 1,500 cases, I anecdotally estimated that about half of those cases I wrote a policy on already had a policy. So why does this matter? That means half of the people I saw had an agent already, but because that agent was lazy or probably just failed out, that agent wasn't following up to sell another policy to him. Okay. And so they just went with the next dude that rolled up in there that sounded halfway decent, me. So the lesson here, guys, is to follow up with your clients. A buyer is a buyer. Okay. And as their bills get better, as they have more money and they keep what they got, they're going to buy more. A lot of them will. Half of them will. Okay. So you take anything from this call today, you got to call your clients. They won't call you either. Like, they're very world-class procrastinators. They're just going to buy from the next person that pitches them. So it's incumbent upon you to follow up. So one of the things we do with our CRM is we send a text message out prior to the birthday. Give them a happy birthday and say, hey, if you're looking for more coverage, give me a call. But I would go so far as to call your people. Just call them, talk to them. They'll appreciate it. And you'll find business all over the place just by doing that. Hey, Ed, yeah, this is a great career. It's unusual. It's strange. But it's great. I mean, I think one of the things, and this is like the philosophy of my agency at Dig Agency. So most of my agents, I have a free lead program and I have a broker program. And one of my missions is I want to train people who come, even if you're not, like, let's be real, like most of the people who join Dig Agency aren't going to be here until they're dead or they retire even, right? Let's be real. Like, we switch jobs, we switch careers, we do things, circumstances changes, right? But one of the things that I want to leave the people that come to me with is a skill set that will never let them go hungry. And I am of the biggest persuasion that learning how to take money ethically from a stranger who at first considered you a pest, but inside of 20 to 25 minutes welcomed you as a guest and gladly handed their checkbook to you. That is a skill set that will pay, that will pay, that will pay. And you will never go hungry. And likely, if you stay with it at high levels of activity, will make you extremely successful and allow you not to just to have money, but have access to living a lifestyle on your terms. Because what you learn selling final expense with us, I believe, is absolutely transferable to any other insurance product. Obviously, there's technical differences, but that's learnable. But taking a person and being able to sell them sight unseen. Think about how crazy this is. Sight unseen, just based off of voice, and convincing them to hand their socials, bank information, personal information they probably haven't told anybody. They don't necessarily tell everybody. That's incredibly powerful. And that's my mission. One of my missions is just to provide that skill set to people. So even if you don't make it in final expense or you don't make it like your end all career, at least I feel like the good is my team, especially my team, has given you a skill set that can transplant into other areas of life. Because if you can get really good at this, man, you're going to level up your career, your skill sets, and the sky is really the limit. Hey, BB, for agents getting into the life sales, would you recommend live transfers, data leads, or another avenue? We tried a few different live transfer platforms. They've been okay. Yeah, so I'm like Mr. Not live transfers. And I'll give you just a perspective from an agency owner. First of all, you probably are aware of this. There's a bunch of TCPA litigation that is out there. There's like way more class action lawsuits. If you look up tcpaworld.com, that's a really good blog to follow. It's scary, man. And like if you do have something to lose, these litigants look for ways to take it from you, right? That you built this thing and they claim that you called them too many times or some nonsense, right? The other side of this is a lot of the live transfer companies are based out of Pakistan and India, and they don't care about federal do not call rules. They don't care about a do not call list. They call everybody despite what they say, okay? And on top of that, a lot of the live transfer companies are really just sister companies to all the romance scams, the catfishing, all this nonsense that happens that takes advantage of otherwise good, well-meaning people. They learn how to do the scam by starting on the phones with final expense lead generation or life insurance lead generation. I kid you not, okay? So I just think it's too much. And the litigants are smart. They know to go after not just you, but the insurance company, the uplines, anybody involved, the lead company. You can say the lead company defrauded me. They don't care. He was in Pakistan. I want the money. You should have known better. And then you got to settle. And then it's just more than just settling it. It takes your attention away from building something that actually benefits your staff and the people you serve as clients. So so where I am not a fan of is the live transfers because of that. I just don't trust anybody. I just the trust thing is just not there. And I've talked to other people very big in the business, been in with it a long time, and they're on board with me. So I'm of the persuasion. What we do is a Facebook generated lead. I can control the consent opt-in language. It's defensible in court. I can control a lot of these variables that may affect you as an agency owner. You could probably do the same thing with data leads. The problem with data leads is that it's not necessarily a problem, they're just lower quality, right? If you have a fronter or if you use like an AI voice fronter to help qualify the leads, that can be helpful. But the key thing is if you're running a free lead organization or, an employment call center, based call center, is just keeping CPAs in line, they can get out of whack real quick if you're not careful, as you probably already know. We're about to offer mortgage protection leads and eventually in a mortgage protection system, mortgage protection, equity protection. Equity protection is like final expense, but sold to pay the mortgage for a couple of years while the house sells, basically. So you don't lose the equity protection. So it's a very similar sale of final expense. Mortgage protection is more term, simplified issue term, living benefits, that kind of thing. So we have the construction of it ready. We'll have more on that soon. So just keep your eyes peeled. If you're already experiencing insurance sales, hey, Judy, I'm thinking the most difficult part is learning the new tech. Yeah, CRM software. Yes, exactly. I agree. That is an impediment. But it's like anything else. You just got, one of the things we started instituting is Sandbox, doing it before getting on the phone, becoming familiar with it. That's not the same as being live with the client and getting like the stress and cortisol release, right? As you're trying to sell a policy and you're like, it's not working and freaking out and thinking on the spot. But it's one of those things that just comes with time. Highly recommend that you try to write a policy on your family members, preferably one that sticks, to just get familiar, especially with your main carriers before you get on the phone working leads. Hey, honestly, Andre, if you got 10 grand, 10 large for leads and you're new, would you recommend to start free leads? Yeah, that's a great question. Man, it's going to come down to your individual risk tolerance, Andre. So for me, I would never do a free lead program. I mean, I'd probably do mine. But when I first started, like I was born in, you have to understand, like my dad was an entrepreneur. He sold his business to Ecolab at 49. My grandfather ran an AC business, an industrial AC business in Detroit, retired, you know, good upper middle class lifestyle. And then my uncle Dave co-founded XM Radio, which is now Sirius Radio back in the day. So being an entrepreneur is in the blood, man. You know what I mean? So it was like, and I really didn't have a choice anyway. So I like sold gold. I was ready to put up leads on my credit card because I looked at it like, well, you know, I'm young. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling what I did. You got to make your own mind up. But I was willing to take big risks being a younger person because I knew, look, if I go broke, I'm still young. I'll be all right. You know, a lot of people go broke and they restart just fine. So I didn't want to like lose an opportunity that maybe 10 years from now with a couple of kids, a mortgage, obligations, be a lot harder to do, right? So I'm a big advocate of the younger you are, the bigger the risk you should take, right? And be open-minded to just going all in. Because that's some of the older guys don't have that luxury as much. So, so yeah, for me, I just was okay with taking the risk. But at the end of the day, free leads or not, you're going to have to show up and work. You're going to have to put the time in. You're going to have to put the effort in. Free leads gives you more runway. There are quota requirements. Like we're not going to let somebody on who puts in a bunch of time, doesn't learn, doesn't adapt, doesn't get results. At some point, we pull them off, right? So, but if you can perform on a low enough or a level that meets our requirements, it gives you more time to essentially practice on our dime. Okay, when it comes to the leads, and then over a 3 to 6 month period of time, the goal is to transition you to a broker. So it just really it depends on you, Andre. You know, and it's something you don't have to like know right now. You can consider it, think about it, talk to others about it. You know, kind of establish a goal. The cool thing is you got options now, at least if you work with us. And if you can always start in free leads and then a month later move to brokering, right? You know, so we have people do that every month. We say 3 to 6 months, but it's up to you as to the degree that you transition. Okay. All right. Hope that helped. Hey, Anthony, I'm going to go a little long here. I know we got some questions here in the chat. Oh, you want to hear the Alabama story? Good. I'll share it with you in just a second. All right. Does it make more sense to hire an appointment setter AI to book appointments for the final expense leads? Not if you're doing telesales. So if you're doing remote-based sales, which you're basically calling on the dialer, you're selling them on the presentation, or the first conversation you have is the final presentation. So there's no, hey, it's Dave Duford. I'm calling you back on that Facebook lead you clicked on to request the final expense quote. I'd like to set up a time with you tomorrow at 10 or would 2 be better? Like, we don't do that. Okay. It's, you know, you do your script and you go into your presentation to close them on that exact same call. Does that make sense? If you're face-to-face, what I would recommend is doing some form of appointment setting, not with an AI appointment setter, but with a real, either yourself, preferably, or a hired gun, somebody that knows how to do it. And then between those preset appointments, door knock the leads that don't set an appointment or declined an appointment. All right. Okay, here's the Alabama redneck story. So I think it was like 2014 or 15. I just got done closing a Forrester's deal. I felt pretty good about it. I was super high. I was like, all right, man, I'm crushing. I can do anything, right? So I had this direct mail lead card that had no phone number, so we couldn't call to set an appointment. And it was in DeKalb County, Alabama. Okay, I want you to think like middle of nowhere, up a mountain in the woods, right? You can hear banjos playing. Like picture that. Mountain people, all right? So that's my people. I love them. They pay me well, but that's what we're dealing with. So I rolled up. I'm feeling real good. And I find the dude's house on my Garmin Newbie. We didn't have Google Maps at this point. And I start rolling in. So if you can picture it, it's like one of those long gravel driveways. You kind of see the house down the road there a little bit. It's a gravel driveway. As I'm pulling into it, there's this sign. It's like 6 foot long and 4 foot high. And the sign says, any damage done to your property or your person is not the responsibility of the property owner. I mean, a 6-foot by 4-foot sign. Now, what would you do if you saw that sign? Now, under normal circumstances, I would have just backed the hell out of there and left. I got kids, a wife. I'm not going to die for a policy. But today, man, I was feeling good. I was in state. I was hustling. I was crushing it. Nobody could stop me, not even this dude. So I kept going. So I get about halfway down, and I'm looking up at the top. I could see this chair rocking back and forth, back and forth. So it's the dude, Mr. Knight, was sitting there on the porch watching me. He saw me stop, read a sign, and keep going, right? And I'm not driving a UPS truck. I'm driving a Honda Civic, you know. And I'm like, oh man, he saw me. He knows I didn't care about his stupid sign, and I'm gonna come up anyways. Like anything could happen. So my whole shtick at the door is to be aw shucks, you know, try to get him to laugh, be easygoing, right? You know, that's my game. So I get out of the car. I'm like, hey, are you Mr. Knight? And he's like, depends on who's asking. And I said, hey man, you're the man I'm looking for. You know, like I'm the cops or something. I was like, shit, I should have said that. Anyways, I told him like, hey, I'm just here about the card you sent in, about the life insurance. I'm just here to give you the information requested. He's like, hold on. So he gets his wife, and his wife is like the perfect, if you looked up perfect final expense client in the dictionary, her mugshot would be there. She was great. She was super nice, totally wanted what we were selling. Her first husband was dead, had life insurance. The second husband now had a major heart surgery like 5 years prior, right? And knew this guy needed insurance, but he didn't have any. And of course, they're broke, didn't have a lot of money. So we talked out the details. She could afford $20 a month, 20, 25 a month, something like that. So we worked it out over 10, 15-minute talk. Dude walked away during this and kind of was fooling around in his garage. And so the last step was just getting him to agree. You know, he had to sign the paperwork and all this stuff. So we walked over there, and she's like, hey, honey, I just need you to sign this life insurance. And he gets out of his car. He's in his car in the back seat. And he was like, I'm not signing no motherfucking goddamn life insurance. This motherfucker came on my property, and he's sitting here trying to sell me this shit. I mean, he's going off. I'm about to piss my pants. The dude's got 10-year-old kid, like kids my age or younger, that are just watching this man just blast me, right? Full course. I'm keeping cool. I'm like, Mr. Knight, I'm happy to leave. I don't mean to bother you, sir. I'm just trying to do my job. Be happy to go. There won't be any problems, sir. And at some point, he's like, you're lucky you're not dead and buried in my backyard right now. And I mean, he said it in a more forceful way than that. And I just kept kind of trying to disengage, talk him out of killing me, you know. And somehow the wife, and I'm like in a panic mode, right? Somehow the wife talks him off the ledge of killing me. Gets him to sign the paperwork. I kid you not. And I get that application. I got the hell out of there. And it closed. It stuck. The thing stuck. So she called me. It's not over yet, by the way, guys. She called me like that night. She left this 90-second long voicemail. She was like, I'm so sorry. My husband, he used to be a gentle, nice man before his heart attack. And when they did the heart bypass, it changed the blood flow to his brain. This is apparently true. I looked it up. And when the blood flow changes, sometimes the behavior changes because certain parts of the brain don't get blood, right? And so he turned into a deranged lunatic, apparently, was the outcome of this. And she was just very apologetic, you know, that he said those things he said. And sorry. The guy ends up sending me a referral. I wrote deals on him. Apparently, this guy like cleaned fireplaces, you know, chimney stacks. That's what this guy's. So it was a client of his. And then 3 years later, to wrap this up, and then we'll get on with your questions. 3 years later, I get a letter in the mail that he died. He died. He died. He succumbed to his whatever, and the policy pays. And I have to say in this business, it's funny. I wish every one of you could write a policy on a client and then have somebody die like pretty quickly. I don't want anybody to die. I'm not morbid. But when you see somebody, or in this case, you talk to somebody, you have a great conversation with them, because we all love our clients, right? I love people who buy from me. I love them. I love them dearly. But to have that person you really care about that cared enough to take care of this eventuality, to see them die, and to reflect on that, the first thing it does, guys, is it tells you the power of this business. It's like, wow, the stuff I'm hustling actually saves lives financially. And people that, and if I didn't risk my life, that dude wouldn't have been covered. I guarantee you that. Now, I mean, it was worth it because I didn't die. If I did die, it wouldn't have been worth it. But in most cases, our people aren't this deranged. And it's because you took the time to take a chance on yourself, to have the courage and the guts to do this. And it's because of that and the few people who took you up on that offer that you get to serve them with something that nobody else could have done. Nobody. And I think this message gets lost in the income potential, the freedom aspect of it. Like all of that's important. But I will tell you and assure you, as usually in your first year, you're going to have a client die. And when that happens, it kind of elevates your consciousness with the meaning and significance of your work. You matter. You are important in this. You're not just some meaningless cog in a machine. You matter as an insurance agent. You matter to that family. You did something for them, especially in final expense where we deal with people of low means, that probably nobody else would have helped them with. And a family that absolutely needs it. And these are the things that empower you. But you have to survive long enough to see it, to see that it's more than just a money-making opportunity. It's a life-changing opportunity for yourself and for others. And that in of itself gives you meaning. It gives you significance. I can't stress that enough. It will happen long enough in this business, and it's a great thing. All right. Yeah, 20 hours. So, hey, Marty, you should be doing a couple of sales with 20 hours a week. Now, over time, you'll get better, and it'll take less time to make a sale, but absolutely. If you're going to make a sale, you should be making them in 20 hours. Now, after a couple of weeks and you've studied, you practice, you joined the right agency, like Dig Agency, and you're not getting results, it might not be for you. We may not be a good fit. You may be better somewhere else, but statistically, you should be making sales after a couple of weeks, 20 hours a week on the phone. Yeah. Tina says MedSup carrier, and yeah, it's MedSups too, isn't it? It's mostly what I was talking about is Medicare Advantage and the Medicare issues that are happening. But yeah, commission dropped from 24% to 5%. This is how, and it is how it starts, guys. Look, there's people out there who will try to cope, question their motives, right? We all have motives. I mean, I want to make override money. I want to sell you products and services and make override money for sure. But everybody has motives. So always question the motives where somebody's coming from. And I think the reality is that this is the start. There is a correction going on where Medicare and ACA health insurance is under the gun financially, and somebody's got to not get paid, and you're part of it. My opinion, single payers for everyone like rest of the world and top with supplemental plans not tied to quarter. Yeah. I'm not, and I don't do politics. This isn't a politics channel. It's funny. I'll give you my little story. So my wife has a pacemaker, and before we were even, I only had a real job for a year. I had a personal training gym, and then I had this business, right? And what a lot of people don't know is before ACA, there were, I don't know, but in Tennessee, there were guaranteed issue health insurance plans. And so my wife has a pacemaker, uninsurable by a private plan standard back in the day. But Tennessee had this mandate where if you tried to apply to 2 different states, you were ineligible for Medicaid. If you applied to 2 different companies and got declines, you were then eligible for this Medicare, or this not Medicare, but the state-based guaranteed issue health insurance plan. And it was through Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, which is an excellent health insurance company. And the price was good. Now she was in her 20s, but when you have a pacemaker, it's incredible. And I don't know why, again, I don't know if that other states had that. Obviously, people had issues. And now we pay through the roof for our plan. I'm not complaining. I won't complain. But stuff like that did exist at the time. But probably didn't make any money selling it, which may be why people don't know about it. Agent or company. But regardless, politics aside, I think any sort of government program is probably not going to be fully comprehensive in its coverage. And there's probably, and this is what's nice about health insurance, being an agent, is there's always going to be an opportunity. Some company's going to say, hey, there's a gap in coverage. Let us provide a private plan that will cover that gap, or a guaranteed issue plan for a higher price, or something like that. So I think we'll start seeing that stuff if we do move to a single payer plan or a universal health plan. Because a lot of the subsidy stuff has just been, I mean, we've had a huge increase on our premiums. Again, I'm thankful my wife has had 4 pacemakers, and without that, she'd be dead. So I'm not complaining. But my point is, from an insurance agent standpoint, that there's no way the government's going to come up with a fully comprehensive, you're going to pay nothing type of program. It's going to be bare minimum coverage. It's going to be on the lower end of the quality spectrum. But if that does come, don't worry. The agent's going to be involved selling something to people to have more comprehensive coverage. I think that's what will eventually happen. Peter, Dave, are you doing the free lead program? Yes, we do have the free lead program. We've changed it. I've restructured it. It's very different than how it used to be. A lot of it's the same. Some of it's different. I think the core difference is in its approach. Free leads is not the destination. It is a training ground. It's a proving ground. It's a way to train yourself to become the best agent you can be. And then in the next 3 to 6 months after starting as a free lead agent, move to being a broker. Being a broker is where the most money is to be made. Free lead programs are not made to maximize your income. I believe, and the way we structure it is, it's to give you the best runway to learn. Now, you can start as a broker, that's fine, but free leads is not something that we encourage people to stay in permanently. Hey, you're welcome, Elle. Appreciate it. I'm paying for the free next week after I do fingerprints, putting my, good, great, perfect. All right, man. Sounds good. Yeah, thank you, Judy. I agree 100%. Thank you, honestly. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I look forward to working with you soon. For Facebook leads, hey, BB, what method have you found works the best? The past AEP, Medicare was burned through $6,000 one sale. Yikes. Yeah, I mean, video ads are good. I think, having video ads with either AI generated UGCs, which is, I forget what that means. Basically, like AI people explaining life insurance, or even hiring somebody to be a paid actor to talk about life insurance. Video ads are really the best way to deploy a higher quality lead at a lesser price. That's what we've used consistently in our agency. And like, I have nobody, I can't, one of the biggest complaints, now this is just an agent issue. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard for years is all these people want are free government handouts, free government benefits. Where's my free life insurance? I never hear agents complaining about that. I'm sure they do, but I see the chat, I see what my agents say, and I hear the calls, and very rarely do you have people saying, oh, I thought this was free, where that's very common everywhere else. So I think part of that is having a more direct messaging strategy on the video ads and then deploying that as such. As a sole provider with a baby on the way, what should I focus on in the first 60 to 90 days of life insurance sales while still working another role? Getting good, man. Just learning the fundamentals. Put pressure on yourself to perform and get results, but don't pressure yourself to make 6 figures and free leads. Probably not going to happen, especially in the first 90 days. Really, again, it's almost like what we're doing is an apprenticeship now at Dig Agency. Like, free leads is a apprenticeship program. You're going to get a lot of hands-on support, daily training. You'll have trainers listening to you on your calls, giving you live feedback, meet afterwards, discuss what went right, what could you improve. There's a bunch of very good communal support amongst other agents too. It's really designed to develop your skill set, right? And so we try to give the agents who are new maximum amount of time to learn, and to do it on a low cost basis with the ultimate goal of, let's get you on broker, man. Let's get you buying leads. When you're writing I want to see you writing about 20 policies a month, 5 policies a week, 4 or 5 policies a week, before I'm going to be like, hey, you're doing really good. Let's make more money now. You've obviously got the skill sets down. Let's get you to the brokering and make that leap of faith. But I understand, man. I understand. Oh, what died? What died here? One of my lights died. Okay, that's right. We'll keep going. Been long today. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, dude. I remember I started life insurance sales, final expense. I had my son, he's 16 now. He was like 1 or 2. And then I restarted final expense full time. And I'm not saying do this. I'm just telling you, I'm committed and I understand where you're coming from. My wife delivered the kids, and like the on a Friday or Saturday or something like that. Well, it was middle of the week, I think. And like the next week I was back full time selling. And we had twins. She had twins. My wife loves me. Sometimes I wonder why. But I did not want to be poor. And I had a bunch of mouths to feed. And I had a personal testament, and like I said, duty bound to succeed entrepreneurially. And I think you got to have that to be successful. You know, you can't go willy nilly. You know, light and easy. Got to go all in. Yeah, Ronald. Somebody was saying that was the case. We tested mostly video ads. Funny enough, the ones that performed best, the ones we weren't in. Yeah. Final expense is strange. Like it's always been a weird market. Oh, by the way, thank you for the chat, Libertarian Social Democrat. Yeah, sure, you can do it. I think she's got a good course. I think that's fine. I don't know who else does courses these days. We used to do a lot of affiliate work with Shauna and others, and it's not as many courses as there used to be, at least for marketing side of things. I would say and suggest you should possibly look into a lead management program. Like that's what we do at the Dig Agency. My brokers pay me a price per month built into the platform fee to get leads at cost. So they don't have to manage anything. They just sell. You know, that's what a lot of highly productive agents do. They're like, okay, what is the one thing that I'm really good at? And it's like, it's getting money from people, not marketing. So it's like, Dave, here's my money. Give me a bunch of leads cheap at cost. We don't mark up the leads. So they're able to get more leads, save money, and focus on the thing they're good at. So that's, I think, what you should, and I believe that's the best way to make the most money. As opposed to buying leads, you can buy leads. By the way, we're about to roll out a new business selling leads. The demand has been clear to me. People want the leads that we sell to our agents. So we're going to start something here very soon. Next couple of weeks, you'll hear more about it. But I think ultimately, buying leads is not the best route. You can do it, but like a lead management program is the best way to get the best leads at the least cost. Let's see what else. Do you do a live workshop? I'm thinking about it. We used to do road shows a lot back in the day. Like once a month, I'd come to your town, give you the full business model over like a 5-hour period. You know, scripts, carrier training, you know, live sales call reviews, the whole ball of wax. I'm thinking about doing that again. Might do it again. Keep it cheap, like $50 so you can get in, make the carriers pay the bill. And then you guys get great training, get to network with other agents, meet me, learn something that you can actually apply and make money with, right? So it's a cool deal. So yeah, we will be doing, my wife, I got to ask the boss, you know what I mean? So. But yeah, I'm thinking really strongly that it's probably going to happen. We'll see. Spanish leads. I get asked about Spanish leads every week. We might be able to do that with purchase leads. We don't do it in Dig Agency, but maybe we can set that up buying them. So yeah. I want access to your lead system. Have you given that? Are though at a markup? Yeah. Oh yeah. So it'll be purchase leads. It'll be marked up leads. So more on that shortly. Lead management only if you're a Dig Agency agent with us. Cool. All right. Any final questions here for wrap up? Thanks for staying late, guys. Again, if you haven't joined the Dig Agency, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? Why are you even here if you're not a part of Dig Agency? Are you crazy? I mean, how could you not be a part of Dig Agency after this amazing conversation, this amazing training you've got for free? Guys, this is at least $1,000 training. You just get it for free. That's how we roll. It's how I roll. And what I want you to do now is roll on over to daviddufour.com. If you watch that video at the top of the page, that'll give you the breakdown on how Dig Agency works. And then you'll see right below that video where you can opt in to get more information, where we go into detail about who's a good fit for Dig Agency, who isn't, what the cost requirements are. You get to see case studies, testimonials, everything that you could want to see if what we do is a good fit. And then if you like it, you'll see how you can set up an interview. You only need a life insurance license, no PNC required there. Lead management, so yes, daviddufour.com, El Vigilante. Just click that link above right where you commented and then watch that video. So lead management, Anthony, is where you pay somebody who knows how to get the leads and knows how to do marketing, and then you get the leads at cost. So what you're paying for is their time, and it's typically a flat fee. All right. Whereas if you buy leads by the lead price, it's the cost of the lead plus a markup, right? So like if you go to the store and buy bread and it's $2 a loaf, it probably costs the store 25 cents to get it. And then they mark it up $2, knowing there's going to be some, bread that gets old and you got to throw it away. So what we're doing essentially is you're paying me $1, or not even $1, more like 50 cents. And then I'm going to get you the bread at 25 cents, right? In other words, you're going to pay me, instead of paying $20 a lead, you're going to pay me the management fee so that you get leads at like $10 to $13 a lead. So if you're buying 100 leads a week, is this making sense? You save 700 to 1,000 a week. You save more like $4,000 a month, and you paid me like 700, 750 to do that. So would you rather pay 4,000 for the same leads, or would you rather pay me 700 for the same leads? And then you multiply that out by a year, probably save like 35 to 40 grand by having me manage it at the dig agency versus you going out there and buying the leads. Does that make sense? So that is a better long-term strategy once you're an established agent. That's what we do for our brokers at the dig agency. So I want them reinvesting their money back into more leads so they can make more money. Or I just want them having a higher profit margin for the leads they're already going to buy, right? I want them successful. So for me, it was like, either do I mark up the leads, or do I just charge a management fee? So we charge a management fee, and it's the clear winner if you're an all-in agent. All right, if you're buying leads consistently. Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I already gave you the Riot Act, daviddeford.com. You know what to do. Click join. Join one of our calls, learn more about what we do. It's been a pleasure to be here. I always enjoy these live streams. We're going to be doing more of these. We'll have another one next week sometime. So thanks for watching. See you guys around. Peace.